the emotion of winning as a driver as opposed to a crew chief?
Well, the winning as a driver is a thrill. You play in a quarterback position, captain of the team, if you will. A crew chief role is similar, but certainly more of an adrenaline rush than being an owner. I love owning race cars, and I love racking up statistics and championships, but it does not have the competitive sort of skin in the game, if you will, that the specific day does. Like, when you're in the car, it's on you to make sure you're doing everything right. When you're the crew chief, you're under a ton of pressure. I understand that I did not come in here and handle all of the layers that Marty usually handles or any given crew chief manages. They certainly were putting me in a position to do some light lifting. But as the race went on, we got more comfortable and more aggressive, and it was fun. Felt like I really had some involvement, some input in the energy that the crew had, the team, the overall guys, and keeping them pumped up and keeping everybody executing, keeping Connor aware of what our goals were and what our expectations were on these restarts. He wanted to deliver on all of those expectations, and so I felt like, in that aspect, it was a good day, and we had a strategy really go our way. Of course, it would have played out really good if it stayed green, but that caution following the way it did, we're still getting the track position that we wanted. And so this was a lot of fun. I have a ton of respect, admiration for all of the crew chiefs and the role that they play and the stress that they put up with. They to do this week in, week out is extremely tough, and it takes a long process, I think, to work yourself into a position to be able to get that role and get that opportunity at the cup level. And I really have a new appreciation and a new level of respect and understanding, I suppose, of the tough calls and decisions they have to make, and they have to be right. And I don't know that they get as much grace as the drivers do when they make a wrong decision, right? So a lot of pressure on the crew chief. And so, but it was a cool experience for me. I'm glad I did it. Marty, I didn't walk in and say, hey, can I do this? Marty texted me, said, hey, would you want to do it? I think you could. And so it was his idea. I think we all should, understand that the Lindley and Earnhardt family have a ton of history together as far back in the 70s when Dad and Marty's father were racing sportsman cars around, the Southeast and so forth. And Butch was a better driver, well respected by everybody in the industry. And I think me and him sharing the similarities and the tragedies that we both experienced with losing our dads has connected us. I remember when Butch was killed, my father went out of his way to connect to Marty, bring Marty in. I would ride with Tony Sr. and Tony Jr. on to the Busch races in a 15-passenger van to Atlanta, and we'd stop on the side of the interstate to pick Marty up so he could be part of the team and go with us. And I remember Marty coming through our shop, the Deerhead shop, many times, Dad giving him advice, helping him out. Marty becomes a driver, and incredible driver at that in the Pro Series, and now a great crew chief. So there's a really neat connection there that I think sprung that idea into his head to ask me to do this. I'm glad he did. Junior Motorsports is a badass organization that can put somebody like me on the pit box and still have a chance to win a race. So
you're going to give a lot of credit to a lot of other people, but what role do you think you played in tonight's win?
Well, I don't know. I think you have to ask some other people about that. But I felt like, coaching Connor a little bit on restarts. He was asking some questions about what he should do, and I was thankful that he wanted to know those answers because I definitely didn't want him doing what he thought he should do. But I know he's the kind of guy that's like, hey, tell me everything. There's not enough information. But I think I wasn't going to make a decision about an adjustment. I did have some influence on our strategy when we were going to pit, if we would flip a stage or anything like that. But they already have a plan before they ever leave the shop on what adjustments they want, when they want them, why they would want them. And so all that stuff is almost like push button. When a driver says, hey, I'm loose off, all right, that's what we need. We're going to do this. We're ready for this. We plan for this. So there's not a ton of communication. It's fairly, if everything goes like it's supposed to, you know, the job's relatively seamless. And, you know, if everything was going to go great, we were going to pit under the stages after winning them and break the third stage in half and cruise to the finish line with a great finish. But sometimes this racetrack and this race, as you'll see tomorrow, will throw some opportunities and some really tough decisions into the crew chief's lap. And, you know, we kind of put ourselves in a position that was different from everyone else, and it gave ourselves a chance to gain a little bit of track position when we needed it. We weren't going to beat the 17, heads up. We weren't going to drive to the 17 and pass it. So that was, we were going to run third if everything went the way it was supposed to, and this gave us a chance to win by coming to pit road or staying out at the end of stage 2 and coming to pit road at the end of the, you know, at the end of the fuel tank. But, you know, I'm not a fool to think that, you know, I didn't have control of all the levers and the buttons and stuff, but midway through the race, man, I was feeling it, and me and the engineers on the box were in a great conversation around what we should do, how far we could make it, whether we're going to have enough of the green white checkered, how aggressive could we get to lap 69, 68, all those things. And then you get down, I think the one thing that I was most nervous about was actually setting that left front tire, because it's easy to set the tire, the guy grabs it right, but there's a tenth or two, or even a half a second between how far you can get it out there to him. You need that stripe up so he knows where the lugs are, how you can place the tire quickly. All these things are very minute, but they're important that he grabs the tire from you in a certain way, and I didn't want to mess that up. So those guys were great. There's a track house crew, and went over there this week and tried out or practiced with them for about 3 rounds, and they were like, you got it, man. I think it's going to be fine. They were awesome to work with, great group of guys. And so that was probably the most, I was so thankful that we actually had one stop less than we planned, because I didn't want to go down there and mess up rolling that tire, setting that tire in there, and cost us a couple spots on pit road we didn't need to lose.
Steven Stump of FrontStretch.com here. Come back for more great racing videos, and if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.